Hello and welcome. This is Face's Opinion, trying to solve this stupid lever puzzle. Welcome you back to another Skyrim video. Unfortunately, this will be my last one for the month since I was only planning to do 5 of them. But do not sour for my last Skyrim related topic, since this will be a good one. And that's because it is about one of the most important things in Skyrim, something that I would argue is the most significant, and without its inclusion, Skyrim would not be the game it is without it. What am I talking about? Dungeons. This game is chock full of them, ranging from caves to crypts, dwarven ruins, forts, tombs, and so much more. Frankly, I am disappointed in myself because I did not even think about this as a possible topic for Skyrim Month last year. Well, it is time to correct that mistake and bring you the top 10 dungeons in the game. I will be judging these dungeons based on the dungeon itself, and not the quest that you do while there, since that can sway how I feel about the dungeon itself. Things that I will talk about are the puzzles it has, enemies you encounter, and rewards you get, as well as if it's enjoyable. Now before we get started, I'm going to state this. Sovngarde, the Soul Cairn, and Apocrypha will not be on the list, since I consider those more as realms than I do as dungeons, which is why they are barred. With that out of the way, let's start dungeoneering. Number 10. Bloodskull Burrow. While exploring the Raven Rock mine for Precious Corellius in an attempt to uncover a cover-up crafted by the East Empire Company, you discover that the mine actually leads to an old tomb, Bloodskull Burrow. Unfortunately, as a result, you are stuck there unless you can find out the secret to escape the Bloodskull Door, which introduces one of the most unique weapons in the game, the Bloodskull Blade, which has the ability to shoot energy slashes when doing a power attack, and you need to use this ability to get past the door. I honestly love this idea, to try and navigate through a dungeon where you need a special item to try and get past certain areas. It's just a shame that we only use it in this certain area, and it would have been cool to try and unlock more doors throughout the journey through the tomb. But on the bright side, as well as getting the sword, you also gain the Dragon Priest Mask Zakarykos, a black book, and one of the words for the dragon aspect shout, making this a pretty rewarding place to venture to. Number 9. Potema's Catacombs. In an event to stop the resurrection of Potema the Wolf Queen, you are sent to the catacombs beneath Solitude and have to fight a legion of the undead to reach your target. I really like it when there's more to a say than meets the eyes, as first you start off in the Temple of the Divines, and you have to continue going down and down to reach her. The big appeal for this one has to be the sheer number of Draugr you have to go through while exploring this place, as Potema at certain points will have you face off against big swarms of them, especially during the final confrontation with her, as you have to deal with her inner council, where you fight many high-tier Draugr, as well as having to dodge Potema's purple energy as it can drain both your stamina and magicka, making this a rather challenging battle. But that is the big reason as to why I like this place, because it gives you that challenge. The only drawback is that there aren't any rewards you get, which kinda sucks. Number 8. Kolbjorn Burrow. I've been on record saying that I am not a fan of the quest Unearthed, but I would be lying if I said that I did not kinda like exploring this place. I'm a big fan of the gimmick of this tomb, where you can only explore certain parts of the dungeon at a time and can't go through it in one run through, which gives you a chance to admire and take a guess on how this place is going to turn out after you excavate more of it. Though the big caveat with this place is that it takes a lot of time and gold to unlock more of the burrow, and that every time you come back it is always the same old thing. The miners are dead, the mercenaries you hire to protect the miners are dead, you have to do everything blah blah blah. I know I said I wasn't gonna talk about the quest that takes place in the dungeon, but this one is kinda hard not to mention it, though throughout all the headaches you get some good loot, like the entire Azadel armor set, Azadel's Dragon Priest Mask, a black book, and one of the words for the Cyclone Shout. Like I said, it takes a lot of money to explore this place, but I would argue the rewards are worth the price. Number 7. Valok's Tomb. According to folklore, Valok the Jailer is considered to be an important figure in the history of Solstheim. As a result, the historian Tharstan requests your help in exploring his crypt. I would say when it comes to puzzles, this dungeon probably does them the best, as they aren't your standard cookie cutter ones, like having to solve the basic ones you're accustomed to, as this one has a wide variety to them, such as the fire pit, the light bridge, the 3 pillars, the levers, and the way it makes use of the amethyst dragon claw. Not to mention encountering the unique enemy type in the corrupted shades, which are only found in 2 dungeons, as well as your fight with Valak the Jailer in a room that you're trapped in and can't escape until he's defeated. It is here where you will find all 3 words to the Battle Fury shout. The thing that I find disappointing is that Valak doesn't have his own Dragon Priest mask, which gives me the sads. Number 6. White Ridge Barrow. For anyone with arachnophobia, I recommend that you skip ahead, because this place is infested with spiders, but not just any spiders, mind you, but specialty spiders that have their own unique abilities, like explosive flame cloak spiders, to mind controlling spiders, to standard albino spiders. However, while traveling the ruin, you'll stumble across a device known as the Imbuing Chamber, which will let you create your own special spiders that you can use in combat. Your spiders can be fire, frost, shock, poison, mind control, and oil. All you need is the right ingredients to make them. Don't think that the spiders aren't the only reward, as you can also acquire Dukan's Dragon Priest mask, a black book, and one of the words for the Cyclone Shout. This is definitely a unique dungeon to explore, just make sure you bring your bug spray. Number 5. Kill Creek Ruins. A new hand touches the beacon! How many times have we heard that? As much as I don't like Meridia, I have to say I do like going around her temple, following the light and battling the corrupted shades, this being the other quest where we can fight them. And all I have to say is, I love fighting these things since you make so much freaking gold off them. Another big reason this dungeon stands out would have to be the fight with Malkoran, who I consider to be an underrated boss fight since he is so OP. If you aren't careful, he can one-shot you with an ice storm. If you think beating him is hard enough, try having to do it a second time when he transforms into a corrupted shade. Though I would say beating him is quite rewarding, as you then gain access to the Daedric artifact Dawnbreaker, which I consider to be in the top 3 when it comes to Daedric artifacts. Though as much as I like this dungeon, I still consider Meridia to be a big ol' cunt. Number 4. Arkham Dams. Dwarven Ruins are one of my favorite locations to explore for a wide variety of reasons, so it should be no surprise that I would have one on the list, serving as the starting location for the quest Lost to the Ages, where you are searching for the legendary Ethereum Forge. I say compared to all the other places you go to during this treasure hunt that Arkham Daz is the best of the bunch, as it introduces one of my favorite puzzle mechanics in the game, and that would be the tonal lock, a mechanism that requires you to shoot arrows at a kinetic resonator in a certain order to unlock the door. However, if you get one wrong, it will set off a trap. To give you an idea of how dangerous the tonal lock is, it is stated that it caused the earthquake that ripped apart the ruin. But that isn't going to happen when you do it. You only get to deal with it releasing dwarven spiders, spheres, and a guardian to firing a ballista at you. When it comes to the loot, the only things you get are a piece of Ethereum, which is important for the quest, and Zephyr, a bow which shoots out arrows 30% faster, which is okay, I guess. I prefer something with more power, but to each their own. Number 3. Temple of Miraak. Say what you want about the first Dragonborn, but you have to admit that the Temple of Miraak does an excellent job in building up Miraak as an imposing and dangerous figure. When you're walking up to it, you can see dragon skeletons laying around everywhere, as well as the people who have been brainwashed by Miraak working on his temple's exterior. While on the inside, while fighting with the cultists and the Draugr, you can see the sheer size of this place and see even more dragon remains, this time in shackles, as well as regular skeletons in cages to show back in its heyday, Miraak did not mess around. This dungeon serves the role in trying to establish Miraak as an incredibly dangerous individual with the use of context clues, and I think it succeeds at that. Even the loot you get from here, such as the black book that leads to your first encounter with him, as well as learning the first word of the Shout Dragon aspect, which we will also see Miraak use to showcase what it is and to tell us that we can learn that power too. Number 2. Nechardak. As much as I love the Dwemer Ruins, there is only one that I consider to be my absolute favorite, and that honor goes to this one. According to Neloth, Nechardak was known as the City of 100 Towers, and in its day was the largest of the Great Dwemer archives and perhaps the most advanced, which I honestly agree with, since this dungeon is definitely the most fun to explore, since the majority of the ruin is underwater, and the only way for you to try and navigate this place is by collecting and using cubes that control the water flow in the ruin. Though collecting them will be easier said than done, since you have to deal with the automatons you normally deal with in these types of places, as well as a new type of machine enemy, the Dwarven Ballista, which can fire a bolt that can penetrate your armor and do heavy damage, as well as having to escape flooding rooms. This makes for a good explorer. that results in you getting a black book and finding one of the Kagrim's resonance gems, which are needed to complete the Kagrim's trials. Now before I reveal the number 1 spot, let's go over some honorable mentions. Blackreach. Arguably the biggest dungeon in the game, this exact location offers many places to explore and enemies to fight, and can be accessed by any of the major dwarven ruins, as long as you have access to the attunement sphere. Just don't pick up any Crimson Nirn route. Bleak Falls Burrow. This serves as the first dungeon you can do in the game, and I always have a soft spot for the first, assuming that you follow the main quest line. Sightless Pit. What I like about this one is that it's one of those places once you enter, you can't exit the way you came in, which makes sense since it is a hole in the ground, meaning you have to go deeper into the pit to get out. Number 1. Labyrinthian. I have many issues with the College of Winterhold questline, but if there is one redeeming thing about it, is that it is because of them we get to experience what I consider to be the best dungeon in the entire game. Labyrinthian is a special dungeon that can be broken down into multiple sections due to its sheer size. The notable areas you can explore here are the outside area, Labyrinthian proper, Lost Valky, Shaldur's Maze, and Brahmanjur's Sanctuary. While exploring, you can encounter a variety of enemies such as Draugr, skeletons, trolls, Daedra, a skeletal dragon, and finally, the final boss, the Dragon Priest Moroki, who is my favorite out of all the Dragon Priests, as he is the one and only Dragon Priest, not counting Miraak, which is capable of speaking since he talks to the player while journeying deeper into the ruin. Don't get me started on the loot you can get as well, because it is a lot, such as new spell tomes for unique spells, such as Equilibrium, Telekinesis, and Water Breathing, to name a few. You have spectral-looking weapons you can collect, learning 2 separate words for the shouts Slow Time and Dismay, the Staff of Magnus, which is vital to complete the College of Winterhold story, Moroki's Mask, and the Wooden Mask to access the Dragon Priest Shrine, which is also in Labyrinthian. This place has it all. Good fights, interesting lore, damn fine loot. What else could I ask for? Alright, that should do it. That is the top 10 dungeons in Skyrim. I hope you enjoyed the recent spree of Skyrim content that I did. Honestly, I'm considering maybe making this a yearly tradition where every November I make some Skyrim related content, but I don't know. I think I will leave that up to you, my viewers. Would you want more Skyrim content? It is an 11-year-old game at this point, so I can understand why some may not care for it. However, Skyrim is still kinda popular, so I'll leave the decision up to you. Now tell me, do you agree with my choices? Do you think a certain dungeon should have been on the list? Do you want more Skyrim content? If so, then what do you want me to talk about that I haven't done so already? Comment down below. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like and make sure you subscribe for more Skyrim Month content. Maybe. Until next time, I'll catch you all on the flip side.